All right, excellent. So hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining us today. Today's program is going to be talking about the SBS signature programs. So what we mean by that is some of our awesome internship programs that are hosted by our college, and also there's some other opportunities that we're going to highlight as well. So before we get started, again, we're going to do some brief introductions. My name is Rachel Noto. I am one of the assistant directors on the SBS Career Team, and my primary focus is on the SBS sponsored career fairs. I also help with the SBS in Boston internship program, which we'll highlight today. And then I do host some student appointments as well. And today we have my colleague Odessa, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. I'm Odessa. I'm the other assistant director on the SBS Career Team, and I do a lot of student appointments. So definitely make an appointment with me on Handshake. We'd be happy to talk to you all one-on-one. And then you might have seen me in your classroom because I do a lot of classroom presentations as well. So great to be here and great to have you all again today.
Thank you. And Carol will be joining us shortly. So she's the director of our SBS Career Team. And we also have Rebecca Bell, who's the associate director. And she actually oversees the SBS in DC program. So we'll be talking about that today too. And again, feel free to, if you're comfortable with it, unmuting yourself and asking questions, dropping any questions you may have in the chat. And also, if you're comfortable with, showing your face on camera, we'd love to see you and interact with you today. So feel free to, show us who you are, and we're welcoming you here today, and we're going to have a great conversation. So let's get started. So SBS in Boston. So this is the program that I work on with Carol, so our director. So we're actually going into our 4th year of the program already, which is crazy. So this is a fully credited internship program that we host, and this takes place in the spring semester. So you're going to hear a little bit more about our different programs and what time of the year they take place. But this one specifically is in the spring, and you can earn academic credits for participating in your internship, and you can still be paid for your internships as well. So that's a huge highlight. This does take place, as I mentioned, in the spring, so from January to May, roughly. This is kind of dependent on the employer's needs. So perhaps you may be working around 20 to 30 hours a week, and that also equates to a specific number of credits. So if you do go on our webpage and the Central Career Sites webpage, there's a whole chart which breaks down the internship credited process, so you can see how many credits you've earned from the number of hours you'd be working. So one of the huge perks of this program, which I really love, is that we work with SBS alums to help get you some internship sites. So what that means is when you come to an info session, we typically host these in the fall semester, where I'll be there, Carol will be there, and we'll just be talking a little bit more about the program. But my hope is to have a list of employers that are expressing interest in hosting our students as an intern for the spring. And again, these are some awesome SBS alums. So if you have like a specific site in mind, you can work with us and we can try to make that connection for you. Additionally, SBS in Boston is an accredited internship program, as I mentioned, but you're going through this with a cohort of students, which is really exciting because whether it's 10 to 20 students, you're able to make those close bonds with one another, and you're going through a similar but yet very different experience. So another perk of this program is you do have the opportunity to live on the Mount Ida campus of UMass Amherst. So that's located in Newton, Mass. And you do have that option. It's not mandatory, but a lot of our students do choose to live there, and there's transportation provided. There is parking on campus. There's UMass dining on campus as well. And then again, you can continue the learning process with your peers after your internship has concluded at the end of the day. Kind of nice to just hang out with one another and get a sense of what's going on in your internships. And also with that being said, there is a 3-credit class on Fridays on the Mount Ida campus of UMass, and that's actually a professional development course. So you would be in a class with other SBS students or maybe public health students And you would, again, be reflecting on your internship, kind of just talking through what's going on at work, what are the career competencies that you're learning in your internship, and how can you apply that to the working world and in your personal life. So a lot of great features of this program. And this is just, there's a few pictures here of the Mount Ida campus. So if you do choose to participate with us, a lot of our students, as I mentioned, will choose to live on campus. This is the residence hall right in the center here. That's at nighttime, and then right here on the right as well. Same building right there. On the left, this is the dining commons. So again, just really beautiful. It's a very quiet campus, so it's a lot different than Amherst, but some of our students really enjoy that because in the spring semester, you're working a lot of hours. You may also choose to, let's say, take on some remote classes as well. So that's an option. So you can really make your semester whatever you like it to be. And we would be happy to work with you on that to make sure you're fulfilling your academic components and also your internship components. This is just a student testimonial. So this is Mia, and she was one of our most recent students that participated in the SBS in Boston internship program. She actually interned at Element Productions. So we worked with one of our alums, and they were able to provide this internship opportunity for Mia. She went through the application process. We helped review her resume and cover letter, and prepared her with a mock interview prior to her earning this internship. But she was part of our most recent cohort, like I mentioned, and this is the only cohort that was 100% completely remote. So this was a very unique year for us. So we didn't actually have that opportunity to work one-on-one with the students in person, but we did actually still have our 2-day intensive professional development training prior to students starting their internship. So regardless if we were in person or remote, you'd still be provided with that professional development training prior to going into your internship, because we want you to feel confident and competent in your ability to start strong on day one. Are there any questions before I move on? Has anyone heard about the SBS in Boston program before? Or do you know maybe someone that participated in the program? And if not, that's totally fine too, because once you learn about it today, you can definitely check out more on our website too and share with your friends some of our really great internship programs that we have. Oh, you have. Awesome, Kasan. Thank you for sharing. Okay, let's see. All right, so previous employer partners, I just like to show this to students so you can gain a sense of some of the internship sites that our students have worked at. So Senator Elizabeth Warren, her office in Boston, some of our students have been there. GBH, we've had a few really great interns go there as well. State Street, Rhode Island International Film Festival, we actually had 2 of our students there working remotely this past spring. So they had a really great and enriching experience. And it was cool because each of their experiences were very unique. So although they were in kind of like the same internship, it was very different from both ends. So it was just nice to connect with those students to hear a little bit more about their individual pathways. The Castle Group, which is a PR firm, so they're located in Boston as well, and they are actually run by a lot of UMass alums. They're the founders, so it's a women-led business, so they're really fun, and one of our interns from this spring actually worked there as well. And then the first year's cohort 3 years ago, there was a student that was placed there as well too. So again, feel free if you have any questions about some of these sites. You're not limited to these specific employers. These are just where some of our past students have gone. And another great feature of this program, which is like one of my favorite parts and Odessa got to participate in this too during our first year working at UMass, was we actually bring the students to site visits. So before things were all virtual, we actually got to go to TripAdvisor for one of our site visits. So this place is really awesome. They had a great company culture. They're very welcoming. Our students in this particular year were really interested in legal studies and poli-sci. So I talked with a TripAdvisor coordinator for their internship program. She pulled in some representatives from the legal department, and they were actually able to host like a conversation with our students. And they gave us some pretty cool swag as well. We got some nice winter beanies. I remember those. But it was just a really unique perspective. Like, as you can read here from Trevor on the far left, he gave a testimonial about going to TripAdvisor because he never really knew like all the different departments that they had and how diverse their team was. And it was very just an eye-opening experience. And he actually left and was like, wow, I can really envision myself working here. So again, you're doing that professional networking, and we'll be there with you too. So we'll be there to help facilitate those questions. These students were an awesome crew, and they were really eager to ask a lot of their questions, career related. So a lot of them, again, were interested in legal studies. They asked the panelists a ton of questions, and they really enjoyed their time. And they said this is one of their favorite parts of the program as well. And then Odessa, you went to Senator Warren's office, right?
Yep, Senator Warren's as well. Both of the trips were so much fun, and it was great hanging out with the cohort. You could tell that they had become really good friends as well, which is one of a big perk of doing the program is you're not on your own doing an internship. You get to really talk to other people that are either in similar internships or other internships in the city. And I think that's such a nice aspect of it. And I know they all became pretty close through that. Definitely a little different for the virtual ones this year, but also being able to talk about their experiences together is just so valuable.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, your comment, so fun. Yes.
It was so fun. Yeah, they had really good snacks too.
Oh yeah, and they had like cold brew, like right
cold brew
there,
on tap.
a game room. It was just really interesting. So yeah, I love it. So definitely, like, if you're interested, this is another great perk of the program that I really love coordinating. And also we met with HubSpot, but it was virtually. And the gentleman we met with was one of the like onboarding coordinators. So when people get hired, he kind of walks them through like the orientation, and for interns as well. He just had some really great energy and some tips to share for succeeding like in a virtual environment. So that was a great use of time too. So before we get into the next program, I just wanted to pause again to see if you had any questions. And also, while we take a moment to do that, I just wanted to pull up our website. So if we go back to the main web page, so if you go here to our brand new website, which looks awesome, there's the tab here, which says Signature Programs. So if you're ever interested in kind of finding out more information on these programs, you can click on Signature Programs right here. And again, these are just some of the programs we're going through today. But again, this is where they are housed on our webpage, and you might find them in different areas as well, like experiential opportunities. But these are our signature programs. And like if you were to click on, let's say, SBS in Boston, like what we just went through, it's going to explain a little bit more in detail about the program. And again, if you are interested, we do have like info sessions going on in the fall. So make sure that you're looking out on Handshake for some of our upcoming events. But again, this is just more specifics. And one of the past interns that went to the Castle Group, she interned there with one of our alums. She created a little video about like a day in the life of her internship experience, or a week in the life, I'm sorry. So that was really fun. Going back quickly, oh, we have something in the chat. Will there be remote options in the spring? Great question, Kathleen. Yes, so I think that's dependent upon the employer specifically. So a lot of employers are either going back in person fully, potentially staying remote, or there's hybrid options. So again, it is dependent on the employer and their needs. And I do know like some employers specifically, they prefer to have like intern training in person. So perhaps they may pull you in to the office for a few days a week, and then you could be remote. But again, for the spring of next year, not really sure what that's going to look like right now. I think a lot of companies are kind of figuring that out in the fall. But we definitely will have more information for you in the fall once we have our employer partners on that list for you to apply to. So great question. And then Odessa, do you want to just highlight the AFP program?
Yes, definitely. So AFP stands for Academic Fellows Program, and it's an SBS program for students that identify as BIPOC, first generation students, or from low income backgrounds. And so if you do identify with any of those, you're actually automatically an AFP. So sometimes there's confusion of if you have to join AFP or if you're already in it, and you are already in it. About half of SBS students do qualify to be in it, but there is different levels of engagement that you can have with the program. So you could technically be in it, but not really participate in it, or you can get really involved. And this past year, I had the opportunity to work with the AFP Diversity Fellows, which are the peer leaders of the program. And there's actually some of their bios are on here, as well as some of their stories, because we did a little, if you've heard of Humans of New York, we have a Humans of SBS series, so you can learn a little bit more about them. And this group of students helps plan events and programs, runs the social media, does so much for the program. And we're actually hiring for next year's Diversity Fellows. Right now, the application might even be live. I think I got an email about it yesterday, so we can probably link you with that as well if you're interested in applying, because you get a lot of really great development opportunities from that. So similar to SBS in Boston, there's a lot of professional development that you learn throughout your time as a diversity fellow. And it's also an internship. So it's an internship in itself where you get to create programs or events or things that these types of students need and are looking for, and build that community among students. So it's a super awesome opportunity. If you're not interested in getting that involved or having an internship, you can still attend those events. Last year, of course, it was all remote, so we didn't have some of the dinner and faculty dinner events that the program is famous for, but those are awesome, where they have a really nice dinner set up and bring faculty and staff from across the campus, and you get to network and really make those connections. So definitely so much more to check out this fall. We have a brand new director who was just hired, Felicia, and she just started in June, and she's amazing and is really going to take this program to the next level as well. So I'm already so excited to see what kind of programs and events she's going to plan for fall. You can also follow the group on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, I believe it's UMass AFP or AFP UMass. And one of our students that just graduated, Crystal, ran that, and it's beautiful. So it's a fun resource to check out as well. And if any of you have other questions about it, you can ask right now, or you can always email me as well.
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we're going to go back to the slides here. So we don't have too much more to highlight. So we're going to get started and jump on in. So SBS in DC, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this program, and it's just one that our team is so incredibly proud of. And there are students there right now actually participating in the program, which is really cool. And there was actually an article that one of the current students wrote that Carol shared with us this morning. It's pretty incredible. If you're able to find that, Odessa, maybe we can drop it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll find it.
So you all can take a look at kind of like her experience. She's walking through how she felt during her first few weeks of the internship. Thank you. Excellent. So SBS in DC. So this program takes place in the summer. The students that, so you actually, backtracking, you do have to apply to the program. So the application process, there's a lot of students that do apply, and there's about, what, like 20 that get accepted into the program typically.
Yeah, it is very competitive to apply.
Definitely. It's like really good practice though for like a full-time position, right? So you have to submit your resume, your cover letter, or statement of interest, perhaps like your academic transcript. So again, like similar to SBS in Boston, you have to apply. SBS in DC is a very competitive student program, but all the students that do participate in the program absolutely love their experience. I'm sure if one of them were here today, they would love to tell you all about what it has done for them in their personal and professional lives. So again, like we talked about, this is actually a summer internship opportunity. So sometimes this is more ideal for students that, perhaps maybe you can't take a fall or spring semester away from Amherst. So students do partake in this program because it's in the summer and they might have more flexibility. But there is a spring course that students go through. So it's a professional development class that you do get credit for, and you would be meeting with your cohort. So about, again, 20 students, and you're learning about a lot of these career competencies that we keep talking about this week. So, effective communication skills, critical thinking. You're learning about how to excel on the first day of the job, but also through the entire internship cycle. And also you're learning how to have conversations with professionals. How do you appropriately dress in the workplace? So all of these skills that you're going to be able to take with you for the rest of your life, you're learning in this class. So it's a really great prep course to send you on your way to DC. So this internship is for 10 weeks in the summer in DC. And these students do get to actually live together in DC, which is really cool. Typically it's like a house. It does vary per year, I think, because last year was all remote, of course. So things were looking a little bit different, but all these students really enjoy living together because they get to practice some of those, personal skills like cooking or living with other people, feeling out how you work in an environment with others, or, even like the bathroom situation, like little things like that. You're learning more about yourself, about how to excel in the world in general. So that's pretty cool experience. Also, one of the huge benefits of this program is if you are an SBS and DC fellow, you're actually able to be matched up with an alumni mentor. So that can be someone that graduated from UMass that now works in DC. So that's a great connection to have. And you already have that one major piece in common with this person. You're both graduating from UMass. So that's always something great to start a conversation. But the mentorship is one of, I would say a lot of the student participants in this program really raved about that from their experience. So having that mentor to ask some general questions to, career questions to help them feel a lot more confident in the workplace. All right. And this is Ananth. So he's just so awesome. He was an AFP too, right, Odessa?
Yeah, he was also a diversity fellow. So, you can do multiple of these opportunities actually and get really involved.
Yeah, that's great. He's awesome. Just a really personable student, and of course is like excelling now. But this program just really sets you up for great success. So a lot of the students, again, leave with a greater sense of self and a greater sense of confidence.
Yeah, and I will say also, even though it is very competitive, we do see the most success from students that, come and see us with their resumes before, with their cover letters before. And there are a lot of students too that maybe apply when they're in their sophomore year, don't get into the program that year, but what happens is they get feedback on why they didn't make it. Maybe it was something with their resume, cover letter, interview. They get that feedback and then come back and apply the next year and do get in. And that really shows a lot to the team, right? That, even though you don't maybe make it the first time, you still are going to persevere and apply again. And that happens a lot. And so the more that you kind of are active in working with all these things we've been talking about this week and just thinking about how you can gain those professional skills. We don't expect you to be perfect getting into the program because a lot of that is learned in the program, but taking that initiative is noticed. And so that's just something to think about if you are thinking of applying, is, you know, putting that effort in, and getting to know our team as well. That can really help.
Well said. Absolutely. Awesome. And these are just a few extra student testimonials here. So if you'd like to take a moment and read through those. But again, on the right here, like this student was saying, the fact I've been able to come to DC and do it makes me feel really proud about myself. So again, just showing that greater sense of self-confidence. And again, this takes place in DC, but also for the Boston program too. All of our students, similar experience. They just love their participation in the program and, you know, in the professional development class. And they can feel like they can do anything after participating in these programs because they're like, you know what, I did it and I didn't think I could. And now I'm going to keep applying to other internships or other jobs. And I just love staying connected with those students because I see them grow and change over just that one course of a semester. So it's pretty incredible hearing more about our students' experiences. And these are just kind of like some of the areas where our students do have internships in DC. So again, our associate director, Rebecca Bell, she does incredible work with a lot of our alums to find some great host sites for you all, for those students that do get into the program. So that's something that's, you know, we're always interested in hearing if you're applying to this program, where can you envision yourself if you're a cohort member? We want to see that you can really picture yourself there, and we want to hear more about your interests. Perhaps there's not an employer already on our list that you really want to work with. We can try and make that happen for you. So there's a lot of opportunities here. And as you can see, there's a ton of internship partners. So I'm not going to read through all of them, but these are just some of the ones that our students have worked with over the past few years in the program. All right, any questions on SBS and DC before we just cover our last program here?
Is anyone thinking they want to apply now or in the future?
I definitely see myself applying for one of these in the future. Yeah.
Awesome, you definitely should.
Yay, that's great. Yeah, and again, like come talk to us. Let's have a conversation. Like where can you envision yourself? Perhaps it's this program, perhaps it's another one. And think about the time of year that might work best for you, and that can kind of help steer you in the right direction too. But great opportunities.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. So just the last program we're going to highlight is SBS Shadows. So I just have one slide for this one, but this is a really cool experience. Like I personally wish I had something like this when I was going to school because I feel like it would have helped me understand maybe where I'd like to work. So a little bit about this program. This takes place during winter break. So again, being mindful of like what time of the year is best for you to participate in professional development. Maybe it's just like one day over winter break and you set that goal for yourself. Because the Shadows program, it's the one-day shadowing experience. Again, over winter break, you're working with an SBS alum in their workplace. So Carol, our director, she actually spearheads this program, and there is a whole application process for alums that they submit their interest to host an SBS student for one day over winter break. We have to go through their application and approve them. And then students are actually able to apply. And as you can see on this slide, student registrations November 1st through the 30th. So we partner with employers a little bit earlier just to secure those sites. And then you would submit an application of interest stating, hi, I'm interested in shadowing for one day over winter break. These are my industries of interest. Perhaps you want to work in PR. We're going to have the Castle Group come and have an SBS alum host you that day. what they'll do is actually you'd be responsible for, providing your own transportation there if possible, showing up, thinking of it as a day in the workplace, right? So you're going to dress professionally. You're going to see the ins and outs of the agency. Like, what do they do on a day-to-day basis? Can you picture yourself working there? Yes or no? You might be able to sit in on some meetings, or again, gain a greater sense of self of if you can see yourself there, and also see kind of what goes on, like the little bits and pieces that people don't normally tell you, but you're getting to see that day. So you're also able to gain some career related advice. So as the hosts are alums, typically, they will actually take the time to sit down with you. And this is a great chance for you to perhaps ask maybe those informational interviewing questions. Asking them a little bit more about their career pathway, how did they end up here, perhaps like what their experience was like after UMass up until this point. So again, getting that really authentic career advice that's going to help you and help steer your direction for your career pathway. So this is a really great opportunity. These are just 2 pictures of students that participated in the program, and we unfortunately weren't able to do it last year because of the virus. So we're really, really looking forward to having some of our alums host some students this winter. So this is something that perhaps if you're ready to get involved really soon, and you maybe can't take all of winter break to do an internship, or all of fall or spring or summer, this is a great introduction to a day in the life of the workplace. So really good opportunity. You can gain a lot of those professional skills that you're looking for. Questions on this or anything to add, Odessa?
I just really encourage you to take advantage of these opportunities, and you go into it just with an open mind of meeting someone, having a conversation, but you never know where those connections could take you down the road. And especially if you're following up or keeping the relationship going, it's a really great way to network and start building that network up for yourself, and just getting a better idea for yourself. Is this a place I could picture myself, right? Because sometimes you have an idea of what a place is like, but then when you actually get in the office physically, it's totally different. And those things matter when you're picking your career and your job. So it's definitely a really great program. And I think we might have had a question.
Yes.
Could you shadow a few people, or are you limited to one? I think it depends on, how many sites there are for the year and how many students. I think if there is multiple that were open, you could, but everyone gets one to start, and then if people have more time, I think that's how.
I think usually, so exactly what you said. I think what our goal is to have maybe more employer or alum hosts. So perhaps an SBS alum wants to host 2 students. I think that would be possible, but I don't necessarily know if this student will be able to partake in multiple different opportunities. Does that make sense? So yeah, I know before we did have a host bring in 2 of our students at the same time, but they had completely different experiences because they had 2 different mentors that day. But typically we do just recommend, since it's a 1-day shadowing experience, that it is just with one employer. But if there's someone else perhaps you were interested in connecting with and you didn't end up getting that host that you were interested in, we can try and connect you with them if they'd be willing to have that conversation. Good question. All right, so that was all we had for our signature programs today. So if anyone has any questions, we'll be hanging out here for a little bit. Again, these are our social channels here. We'd love for you to connect with us. We actually have one of our incoming fall student interns on the call with us today. So Kathleen will be working with us in the fall if you'd like to say hello. And she'll be helping us with our social media strategy. So make sure you connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And then again, this is our general email, or you can email each of us individually if you have specific questions. But tomorrow, this is our last session tomorrow of the week already. And that's on building your network. So now that we've gone through all of these different career competencies with you, different professional development experiences, we're going to talk about having the conversation with professionals. So what is networking? Perhaps it doesn't have to be as scary as it sounds sometimes, right? So we'll have that conversation about what are some different ways that you can reach out to individuals and what are some platforms that may help you do that. So we hope you'll take the time to join us tomorrow at the end of our weekly series. And we thank you all so much for coming again today.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.